Hey everybody, welcome to Storytime with John and Friends. I'm your host, John. Today we have another great episode for you. My friend Andrew Valentine called in. You may remember Andrew from the band Heartwell, and he also has a podcast called Running Into the Ground. His podcast is great. He has a lot of great guests on there, anywhere from musicians to comic book artists, comedians. It's everything. It's everything that you could be interested in. I guarantee you'll find an episode that you could like. Make sure you follow his Patreon as well. In this episode, me and Andrew talked a lot about music in the beginning as well as touring. He shared some stories of touring on the road with Heartwell as well as Hello, Goodbye, and Hanson. We also talked about shows that we played together back in the day on tour. It was a lot of fun to reminisce and relive some of these stories. I do want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time for the video in this episode. I do have video and everything, but the Zoom call was kind of weird. It didn't send me just his video, so I had to kind of make do with what I had. Unfortunately, at some times while he's talking, the camera's on me. Other times when I'm talking, it's on him. It is what it is, but I will figure it out, fix it for the next one, and it won't be an issue again. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Enjoy the show.
You were pissing neon green every day.
That big ball of heat in the sky was too much. I thought there was a bear.
Reality goes, yeah, fresco. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to
Welcome to
Storytime.
Storytime.
So, tell me a little bit about your podcast.
So I do a show called Run Into the Ground. We have people that are like music and music adjacent come on and talk about a record they like. It's been insanely fun. The people that we've been able to manage, like to wrangle to come on, it's real stupid. When does this come out? I'll tell you who.
So this will come out on Tuesday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like this Tuesday.
Actually, no, it's already out. We just had Justin Pearson from The Locust on.
Okay. Very cool.
And it's insane. It's such a good episode. We did an episode about the first Drive by Jehu record, which unfortunately, like days after he decided to do that record, Rick from Jehu passed away. So it was like a real, special episode. So that was really fun. But we had Jeff Rickley on, which was cool. We podcasters and comedians. It's all been really fun. Luckily, my co-host Dan and I have a really contentious relationship on air, so it's never a dull moment.
Right. That's awesome. I think the last episode I checked out was comic book creator.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Ian talking about 311. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's like the only bad part of this is having to listen to bands that I have no interest in ever listening to. And not that I don't like 311, but the Transistor record, seriously, I think he compared it. I think he said Transistor was their Kid A. And I was like, you, man.
Whoa.
I mean,
That's
music hits people in different ways. So I guess I can't yuck someone's yum, but yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I never thought. I've always wanted to do a podcast. Dan and I used to have like this really long, like hour drive to work. So Dan and I would like talk on my drive down and on my drive back. And I was like, yo, why don't we just make a podcast? Because I don't want to talk to you this much. So yeah, but it's been really good. We're coming up on episode 100. We have a very special guest for episode 100, and I cannot wait.
That's awesome. Congratulations on 100, man.
Thank you.
That is crazy. You guys. So how often do you guys release? Because you guys came out. You're started in what, March?
Yeah, March of last year. Yeah.
So I'm only a couple months behind you, and I know I'm bi-weekly, but I'm I'm a quarter of the way as you guys.
So what we do is we do a weekly episode that comes out really early on Tuesday morning. And that's usually with a guest. And then Dan and I do solo Patreon episodes that come out every other Friday. So that's 6 episodes a month.
Right.
And I think we were doing extra episodes at some point too. I don't know. All that blurs together now.
Right.
But yeah, it's great. I love talking shit, and I especially love talking shit about records. So, yeah, it's been a really good experience. You know, I'm only like sort of half serious. I don't think that you can really judge art that way.
I agree.
But it's still fun to talk. You know what I mean?
Everyone loves talking.
Oh my God, who doesn't? I feel like it's a Northeast thing. Like we're pros at it. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Every moment that I ever spent in a van with like 4 other dudes was always just roasts. So
that's part of the camaraderie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes wonder like, what did other people do? Like, what do normal people do with their friends? You know?
Dude, okay, I have a question for you. When you toured with Heartwell, did you guys have a dildo?
No.
Okay. So I had a guest on a while ago, and he said that they had a dildo that they toured with. And he claims every band he knows that tours has a dildo. The traditional never had a dildo.
Right.
So you heard it here first. Not every band tours with a dildo.
I can't imagine a dildo. Wow. I can't think of anything. The only thing we ever had was like a 5-pound thing of goldfish between the front seats, and that was it.
Not even remotely close to it.
No, not even. Well, dildo, goldfish. It gets you the same place. Either way, you're coming. Right. So I'm into that. That's great. Wild though. What would you? I mean, besides just. I mean, I guess having a dildo would be useful. Dude. We did. I think after a certain point, we had Nerf guns, which was super fun. To like, I remember going through Ohio and shooting Nerf guns at people's cars at red lights. And this girl scooping up a big old handful of change and winging it at the fan. It's so stupid. Ohio is such a pit.
Dude, I love Ohio. I hate New Jersey, man. I hate New Jersey.
No! You take that back the second. New Jersey is like, if I believed in God, I would say New Jersey is like God's gift to the planet.
Oh, man. I have so much hate in my heart for New Jersey.
Why?
Man. Because
let's unpack this.
The only place I've ever gotten a ticket while on tour, touring for 8 years, was New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I followed the rules and listened to my GPS. Turned left. Can't turn left in New Jersey.
No, you can't turn left.
Just can't do it. Makes no sense. My GPS told me to do it. I did it. I was pissed.
Wait, I wonder if your GPS was just trying to get you in trouble. I remember the first time I had to talk my way out of a ticket on tour, which was in New York City, making a left in Manhattan, making a right on Red in Manhattan, and getting immediately pulled over by a cop who was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What's wrong with you?" I also think that was right next to Ground Zero, and this was like 2008, 2009. So tensions were still a little high. They probably blamed us. So, never forget, man. Never forget.
You're in Philly?
Right now? No, I live in Baltimore.
Oh, you live in Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah.
Go Ravens. Go Ravens.
Honestly, one of the worst places I've ever lived. But this is where I am. Bought a house here. I like it so much.
That's great. I love that.
I guess.
Houses rule. I heard you say earlier, it's such a nice setup or whatever. This is just my basement. I'm like...
So we moved in. I actually planted that guitar right there a couple minutes ago just because I was like, I guess I have to. I thought the other one would be in the shot. It's not. So, I always thought I would hang guitars in the back, but that's sort of lame. I don't know how you feel. I would never hang a guitar.
I think if it's done tastefully, it's okay. But like,
what would be untastefully hanging a guitar? Just out of curiosity.
It would be... In my opinion, it would be like what is around it also hanging. You know what I mean? Like if you had like a bunch of records and like hanging around it and just like a ton of cool stuff, it could look really cool.
Sure.
If you don't do it like that, I agree. I think it would look silly.
It feels like an old man thing to do. And you know what I mean? I'm pushing old man status, so that's fine. You still play?
I do. Me and Anthony started a new band, the singer of the traditional, called Genesee Hotel, which is like a 90s pop type style. Yeah.
I love that.
So we've been doing that. We're not very active. Just he's got 2 kids. I have one that's due any day now.
Wow.
And
Very
then,
cool.
yeah. So we kind of just play when we get a chance. We write music.
Yeah.
We have stuff that we've had written for like over a year now that we haven't recorded yet because we just released another record last summer sometime. I don't remember, but yeah. Are you still playing?
No, my kid is turning 2 next month.
Okay. Very cool.
And the most I ever played was when my wife was like heavily pregnant because I was like, well, I don't want to go out, so just in case. And I would sit and play, but like once every month, I sort of take it out and noodle for about 5 minutes just to prove to myself that I still know how to play. I don't know. Do you watch The Bear?
So we watched most of the first season, and then life just got in the way. So it's still on our list to finish because we really did enjoy it, but we have not gotten through the first season yet.
So season 2, not going to ruin anything for you, but there's a lot of really wild REM needle drops.
Okay.
And so this week I've been heavily involved in listening to REM, and I picked up my guitar yesterday so I could learn Strange Currencies. I don't know if you're familiar, but holy shit, what a song. But then you get sort of angry because I'm like, oh, all of these songs are G, C, F, D, and that's it. I need more.
Okay. I mean, have you ever seen that like skit on YouTube? It's like these comedians, they play, one has a guitar, one has a keyboard, and then I forget what the other one has. He has like a tambourine or something, but they make a joke about how every massive song you've ever heard on the radio, it's all the same 4 chords.
Yeah.
And it's the same chord progression too. Right. They just sing it a little differently, or they play it a little differently to make it the next big song. I feel like that's most music out there today. Like anything on the radio, at least.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever listened to Restorations? Every Restoration song goes the same way too. They just happen to fuck harder than most, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, but I always had a rule in Heartwell that I would never write a song where I played a power chord. And I would never write a song where I just played like a straight open chord.
So did you stick
weird.
to that?
Yeah, which are weird, like hard and fast rules to stay. Like goofy, real dumb, like, narcissist bullshit, but
if it works, then it works too, So
I think, and I don't know about your writing process. I could never write alone. I don't know that I've ever, only maybe twice in my life have I ever written a song without somebody else in the room.
Okay.
Like I need to bounce ideas off. I'm no good on my own.
Right.
I think mostly because I think I have too much of a filter, but I think when you put those rules on yourself, it like opens you up to like something unnatural. You know what I mean? Do you listen to the Flaming Lips?
I do. Yes.
So, early on in their career, right before the Soft Bolton came out, their like guitarist quit the band. And so they had made this rule that like they would only put a guitar every 3 songs or something. And I think that like, I don't know, I sort of wish I had people to collaborate with because I'm full of stupid ideas, but, yeah, rules are sort of cool. Like not like life rules, but I think music rules are sort of cool.
Yeah, I feel like it makes you kind of step out of your comfort zone, and you're like more creative. That's like I feel like that's like how math rock became a thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like
some dickhead
were
was like
one rule, like no
some
4
dickhead
chords.
was like, okay, so here we go. We're gonna do this first part in 5, and then switch to 3 to 4, back to 5 for the bridge, but nothing repeats.
Simple addition,
Yeah, I don't buy into that. I could never be. Can you play drums at all? I can't play drums at all.
I'm a drummer, so yes.
Oh, right. Why did I think you played guitar? Well, then never mind.
I don't know.
How do you do it?
Dude, so what's funny is, this is 28 years for me drumming.
Fuck.
And before that, I played piano for 2. So when I was 2, I started playing piano. Played for another year and a half, maybe, after I started drumming.
Are you not 40 yet? How old are you?
I'm 32.
Oh, you motherfucker. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, so I've just been doing it forever, So it's I hate it at times and I love it at times. I don't know.
How much do you get annoyed when you're at practice and somebody goes, "Well, here, it goes like this. Give me your drumsticks." Do you let people get away with that?
Yeah, I would for like some, depending on who it is.
Right.
The only thing that annoys me is when guys are like, it's a, and they just like can't, you know what I mean? And you're like, no. Just no. And then they're like, no, you're not listening to what I'm saying. It's ga. And it's like, no.
Yeah, I don't know if Adam Sardane played drums in Heartwell and then played drums in Dry Jacket. And if you've never listened to Dry Jacket, that's a fucking band. But if I was writing something and I couldn't dictate to him what I was thinking, I would like pick him up out of his throne and take him out to my car and be like, listen to this, but don't do it like this. Yeah. We were really, or at least I was real heavily influenced by Mock Orange, especially like sort of halfway through the band. And so I would make him listen to these weird Mock Orange parts. Heath is such an incredible musician.
Right. Yeah. It's it's weird. Like I said, like the that's probably the most annoying part. I actually welcome constructive criticism with my drumming too, because I actually really do.
You can't do that.
Don't always have an idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I am a strong believer in less is more, but I can't play the same fucking beat for every goddamn song.
Sure.
Because who wants to do that after drumming for 20 plus years?
Trey Cool.
Fair.
I was like, can I name 30 more? Who was the drummer for the Strokes? That guy loves playing that one beat.
So does that chick from the White Stripes.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? Yeah, do you know anything about that? I know nothing about that band.
Okay, so I know nothing. I thought when I was younger that was his wife. But then recently, I think I found out that it was sister.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah,
I mean,
okay. I think that's.
I don't know.
That's also my trajectory of understanding, if I remember right. But I used to listen to that band and be like, how the fuck could anybody play drums this bad? And then like a drummer friend of mine pointed out that like it's actually really incredible drumming. Because it like sits in this pocket. He's like, don't you think Ringo's an incredible drummer? And I was like,
no,
dog, no. Ringo's my least favorite. I don't even like the Beatles. Ringo's like the least important of anything to me. But like, you know, I'm not a White Stripes fan, but I think Meg's drumming's great. It's real, just like filthy, just like the band is. I think it fits the band really well. Like, can you imagine like
the band?
Have you ever listened to, this is turning into like, have you ever listened to, but like early Thermals records?
No.
All of those songs are just like, how did he word it? I was listening to a podcast with him and he's like, it just all sounds like bam, bam, goom, goom, ga, goom, goom, ga. And when he finally got a drummer, he was like, can you play less good? Yeah, it's one thing that I feel like I've always been really lucky with was playing with really, really great drummers. I'm not a good musician by any stretch. I like to party and that's about it.
As we all do.
But yeah, Adam is such an incredible drummer. Even before that, my band's in high school. You know, I was always lucky to play with these really incredible drummers. Chris Donegan, if you're out there, I got you, boy.
Shout out Chris Donegan.
Yeah, it made me listen to he used to be like, why can't we write songs more like the Beastie Boys? And I was like, hold on, I have an answer. I can't rap.
Yeah, but they barely could too.
Yeah, seriously. That's another band. Holy shit. What a generational talent.
It's I love the Beastie Boys especially. I like respected them so much more growing up knowing that they played their instruments like on those songs, which is just, I mean, they didn't do it great, but that's why I loved it, because it was like a punk rap band, you know?
I mean, if you listen to Sabotage is like a diss track in real time. What did Mike D just got real drunk and went in and just started yelling at somebody, and that's Sabotage? Like, that's incredible.
And it's amazing. The song's
that
amazing.
shit doesn't happen.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know how much he would want me telling people, but Jeff Kummer, the drummer of the Early November, used to write songs in the back of the van that were the most like vulgar, amazing songs you've ever heard. He wrote a song that was like from the perspective of a very angry vagina. And complete with like a vocal breakdown in the middle. But
That's awesome.
Jeff Kummer, another generational talent, everybody.
Love that. I do that quite a bit when I'm with my wife and we're just in the car listening to music or whatever. I'll change the lyrics to something disgusting, she's like, she'll either laugh or she'll be like, "That was horrible."
Yeah, what's
she'll
wrong
either
with
love
you?
it or hate it.
Yeah, I got a lot of what's wrong with you. The thing I'm most guilty with singing along to records in the car is trying to add harmonies where harmonies don't exist.
That's all I do, dude. That's all I do.
I'm so bad at it too. And there's harmonies that I've added my whole life, especially like 90s rock songs. Like, I've never sang any Eddie Vedder vocal line. I've always sang like a fifth up and at a weird Scatman pace.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do the same thing. I did all the harmonies when I was drumming for the traditional, and I do them in Genesee Hotel, but it's like, that's how you stay on top of it, dude. That's
sure.
I don't even have to think about it. It just comes naturally, you know. That's actually a really, in my opinion, that's a really smart way to vocal train yourself.
Sure.
Love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always been like, you know, you can be shit on stage, but as long as everything sort of starts and stops at the same time, you're like sort of okay.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with your drummer staying on point. And if your drummer's singing backup, you know, like that part's not going to fail. Hopefully it won't fail.
Right. Yeah. That's why I play to a click.
Live?
Yeah, dude.
Our fucking psychopath.
Dude, here's my thing is like, so I didn't drum on the first traditional record. I was on tour with some other friends filling in, and their drummer quit. So they had like just finished recording their first EP, and they asked me if I wanted to join. I said yes. So when I started and agreed to that, I was like, I'm gonna do this, but under one condition. I like to play to a click. We're sticking to the click because it needs to be as tight as a unit as possible, because one of our biggest things was we wanted to sound like our record. When you were there, we wanted it to sound like you put the record in and just fucking it's blaring as loud as it can in your face. And I feel that we succeeded in that most nights. Some nights not so much, depending on how much we drank. But that goes with any show. So
there was a point. I mean, I guess I reference Heartwell a lot just because that was a real turning point in like my songwriting. But there was a point in Heartwell where it got to be fun. Like, what can we add? What weird shit can I play that like no one will notice? Or, how can I make this song I've played 100 times be more fun for me to play? Which is like sort of a narcissistic way to look at being in a band. Well, being in a band is sort of a narcissistic thing anyway, but I I remember we used to do between songs. I used to do this like real bad, dissonant, almost like screamo thing that was real slow but real gross. And they would like beg me not to do it before the show. Like, please don't do that thing. We would get to the part and they would be like, please don't do that. And I would do it anyway because I'm a piece of shit. Yeah, people also say, please don't kiss Scott on stage during this part. And I would say, well, that's not going to happen. I'm gonna kiss Scott every chance I get.
That's great. I feel like that is something that a lot of bands do too, though, where they like change shit up just because they're bored. Mm-hmm. I actually saw Jimmy Eat World do, I'm having a brain fart. What's the record with the middle?
Oh, Bleed American?
Bleed American. I saw them do the 10-year anniversary of it front to back. And when it came to the middle, he did not play that solo.
Yo, they never do.
He plays a different solo, and I'm like, he's just bored. Because that's not that difficult of a solo.
That thing? That sounds hard. I've seen them play that, I mean, so many times, and they've never played. And I just assumed it was too hard of a solo to play.
Yeah,
nothing against you, Jim, or Tom.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a drummer. I don't play guitar. I can't really say, but I've played with people who've done that solo no problem, and I'm like, yeah, you didn't write it.
I could never do it.
So I don't know.
What do you think about Zach's drumming?
I love it. I do love his drumming. Yeah. I will say I don't love every record, so I can't really go off of.
Ooh, let's talk shit. What records don't you like? See, Bleed American, I listened to maybe 3 times and literally signed it to Roadside Records. Like I wung that thing out of a car on a date, which is even wilder. But
wow,
yeah.
I see that record is I love that record, Bleed American.
Interesting.
I loved Clarity. Who doesn't?
Clarity's great. Yeah.
What was the record after with Pain?
Is that Futures?
Futures. Futures. I loved. Chasing Light. I didn't hate
This
it.
Light.
Or Chase
had
This Light.
some really great songs.
Dude, I didn't hate it, but I didn't. It didn't get on a regular rotation for me. So it just didn't do it for me.
For a band that had like one hit single, the singles that they wrote for Chase This Light, I thought were like some of the most incredible songs they wrote. Like, I'm a Sweetness hater. I think that song is the worst fucking pile of shit I've ever heard in my life. Okay. It's so boring. It's 2 parts over and over again. Like,
right.
And I remember hearing that when they were on tour for Clarity, when they would play it live, and I was like, I guess I can go to the bathroom now because this song is poo poo. But yeah, I mean, I think I didn't listen to anything after Bleed American at first because I hated it so much that I was like,
that's crazy.
I can't let this band because, I'm an old man. I remember when Static Prevails came out, and I was like, I've never heard anything that sounds like a no-name band on a major label that puts out like this amazing art rock record. Like, that's incredible. And then Clarity came out, and obviously that record's amazing. And when I heard Bleed American, I was like, I don't want this. It's too slick. It's too plastic. Authority Song is like offensively terrible. It's like head in the oven. Like, I don't even want to listen to music anymore listening to that song. But I was working. Did you ever play the Trocadero in Philly?
I think we mostly played like apartment building basements. I forget where.
How exotic!
It was like a super punk area, but yeah.
But one of my like, my childhood favorite Philly venue was the Trocadero, and I got an opportunity to work there for a little bit. And I remember saying to one of the guys that I'd never listened to Futures, and I was not interested. And we sat there. We delayed the opening band so that we could play the entire record like over the speakers while people waited. And that record's incredible.
Yeah, Futures is really good.
It's, it was, I think that should have been, if I could nix Bleed American and skip right to that, I think I would. Although maybe I should come back around on it.
Strongly disagree. However, to each their own. I think that record for me, like,
what do you like about it? Sell me Bleed American.
You know what? I'm terrible at this kind of shit. So maybe it's because of how old I was when that record came out, and it was just like I wanted to be that drummer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I just feel like that record flows very well together, and each song, in my opinion, you're going to disagree with this, I don't think there's a bad song on that record. I think the dynamic, it starts off strong, kind of builds, comes down a little, and then finishes strong. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's...
What's the end of that? What's... I'm going to look at the track listing right now. So anybody who's watching me be on my phone, it's for research purposes only. Why wouldn't I just go to Spotify? What a dickhead. Jimmy Eat World, there you are. How many monthly listeners does Jimmy Eat World have?
They have to have so many.
9.8 million.
Yeah,
Fuck
dude,
you.
they've been around forever.
All right, Bleed American. Bleed American, praise chorus, the middle. That's a strong start. Sweet, yep. Your House, Sweetness, couldn't care less. Hear You Me is like the most melodramatic bullshit I've ever heard. If You Don't is a good song.
Yep.
Get It Faster, Cautioners. Oh, My Sundown. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I've ever listened to that song, considering it's right after the worst song ever written.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, maybe it's just from my age, at that stamp, the way I looked at it at that age, I just loved it. And I'll still listen to it, and I enjoy it, so.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those things where I do the harmonies where they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, you can't not. Jim's vocals leave such an opportunity to sing. Jim, in my opinion, structures his vocals a lot like Ben Gibbard does.
Okay, I can see that.
Ben Gibbard's, another one of my favorite songwriters because I'm, of that age. And white. And and I think that like when singers write these really, incredible melodies and then back it up with a cadence that's like unforgettable, it opens you up to like, fill in all the other stuff. Cause there's not a lot, Jimmy Eat World, Jim will do harmonies with himself.
Right.
But I can't think of many places where like Ben Gibbard does harmonies with himself.
I'm not really sure either.
That's your Death Cab for Cutie moment.
Dude, I saw them play with our Philharmonic. That was amazing.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I saw them play in a West Philly basement. That's much the same thing.
Pretty sick. That's pretty sick. Yeah,
maybe.
Know that, yeah.
I don't know why. Just because I do a podcast, I have a bunch of questions for you too.
Yeah, so totally fun.
Here's my question. What's the biggest band that you've seen in the smallest room?
That's a good question.
Hell yeah.
I saw Fall Out Boy play Take This to Your Grave in a 300 cap room when they were playing arenas.
Yeah.
This was when it was during the MySpace days. It was a MySpace secret show, and it was under the name Shroot Farms.
Oh yeah.
And 4 Year Strong opened. They like no one knew who they were yet. They were just like that was their introduction into my music life. Yeah, I was in 10th or 11th grade, so like 2007, 2006, around that time frame. That was awesome. That was a really fun time. I worked at Town Ballroom down in Buffalo. It's a decent sized venue. It's like 1,000 cap room. But like, you remember CeeLo Green?
Oh yeah.
So CeeLo Green actually played our venue a week or two after he got canceled. And we couldn't give tickets away because of all the shit that happened.
What did he get canceled for?
He was on The Voice at the time, And I don't remember where it came out, but it was either on The Voice or it was on an interview or whatever. He basically said that he roofies his dates.
Ooh.
Yeah. If I'm allegedly, I don't remember exactly if that's 100% what it was, but I think that's what it was. But what stood out about that show to me was we couldn't cancel it. We tried to cancel it. We couldn't cancel it, but like they still had to pay him if they, so they were like,
so let's see what assholes show up.
Yeah. So basically they gave everybody on the staff like as many tickets as they wanted and said, just give them away. We just need people to buy alcohol. Like we need people in the door. I could say there was less than 20 people that showed up for that show. Oh, yeah. He still performed. And then that song, Fuck You?
Yeah.
I've been driving around. Well, he wrote another song called Fuck You.
No.
And performed it there for the first time.
Jesus Christ.
And essentially, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but this is what my memory has of it. He essentially was saying, I do what I want. You can't tell me what to do, so fuck you.
Sure.
Meaning, like, I'm not apologetic for the things that I've done that I'm now currently being canceled for, which blew my fucking mind.
CeeLo Green, everybody. I saw, I don't know, do you like May? I feel like a lot of people like May.
Love May.
Right when that Destination Beautiful, is that what that record was called?
Yep.
Right when that came out, or maybe it was a little bit later, they played a show in Philly at the church with Plain White Tees.
Okay.
And there were probably 15 people there.
Holy shit.
And it was real weird. Like, I don't know if you're religious, and if you are, I don't want to offend you by any means, but okay, I do want to offend religious people. But anyway, something had happened to somebody in May, and they had gone to some religious camp. I don't know if it was like what do they do to gay people in Christianity? They
just like try to convert them, don't they?
Yeah, reverse engineer them or whatever. But they kept saying like, praise God, he's back. And I'm like, is this a bit? If this is a bit, it's genius. If it's not, it's fucked up.
So I did grow up in a born again household.
Me too.
May was known to me as a Christian band.
Right.
So that makes total sense. What an amazing
grift. I always thought, like, if I ever really, really needed money and like songwriting, I thought was like a good way to do it. I would either do a Christian band or like a white power band, just not put my name on it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine you could absolutely sell thousands of records because those people are so hungry for horse shit.
Yeah.
Like I, do like a white power ska band, like Swasta Ska or something. Like it writes itself if you think about it. Skastika?
I don't
know. We can workshop this later. I need a drummer.
I had a friend of mine on the last episode, and he plays in this band Eternal Boy, which is like a pop punk band from Pittsburgh, something like that. Anyways, so he was actually telling me a story from when he played in this band Kill the Clock from Buffalo. And they were on tour, and they got pulled over. A bunch of people were in the back, stoned as shit. All the drugs were in the car, whatever. And the cop comes up, and he's like, "Oh, do you guys have any drugs on you?" And he goes, "Oh, no, officer. We're a Christian band." And he points, and he had a Jesus bobblehead on his dash. And
Smart.
he's like, we're not we don't follow any of that shit. But he fucking believed us.
Yeah.
And let him go. He was like, all right, well, you guys be safe. And that was it. He's like, so from that point on, anytime we got pulled over, no, we're a Christian band. We're not into any of that kind of stuff.
That's so smart. That's almost as smart as having like, I mean, I didn't tour at a time where like there were like blue line American flag stickers, but like that seems like another smart move to put on your van.
We support the state troopers or whatever those fucking ones are.
Back the blue. Holy shit. How could you not?
Yeah, okay. So we we discussed a little bit about you coming on here. You said you had some great stories, and you gave me some bullet points. I am very interested.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, dude, this is great. I love this episode already. I'm excited for this one because as a little teeny bopper, I loved them as well. But 2009, Hello Goodbye.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
But more than that, Hello Goodbye touring with Hanson.
Yeah.
And Steel Train was on that tour, so that's Jack Antonoff.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then this band called Sherwood, which
dude, they were a MySpace band.
They were a MySpace band,
MySpace signed them, and they were the first band that they signed, and then did absolutely nothing.
Yep. I've never felt so bad for a bunch of individuals in my life. I don't know how big a tour, you've ever done, but when you tour, and I would just work the show. I wasn't playing, but when you play with Hanson, their fans don't fucking care who you are. They want you to get done. They don't care. Hello Goodbye towed that line. It was technically a co-headline. So Hello Goodbye towed that line because they had, big singles and was a fun band to watch. But the horrific shit that Hanson would put people through, I'm pretty sure people booed Sherwood almost every night. Goofy bunch of individuals, but honestly, it's the most fun tour I've ever been on. I feel like the only things I've ever done music adjacent. One of my best friends growing up is Joe Morrow, who played guitar in the early November and played keyboards and guitar in Hello Goodbye. Now is a band artist manager for the Wonder Years and shit, and just a really great guy. But I would ride his coattails and be like, what can I do for your band to get out of here for a little bit? I hate my wife. That wife, not my current wife. My current wife I love. But it was a wild tour full of insane personalities. I think my favorite story from that tour, we were talking about it the other night. A bunch of us met up for 4th of July to light fireworks off and annoy neighbors. We had a day off in Kansas, which is just as fun as you would think it sounds like. And we spent the entire day trying to buy a used car. We thought if we could put $500 together, we could talk somebody into selling us a used car, just because we wanted to take it out in the woods and just crash it into trees. And we walk over to a used car lot, and we're asking this guy, trying to talk him down. We finally get him talked down in price, and we're like, we're just going to take this off. And some fucking idiot, and I don't remember which idiot it was, but somebody tells him we were going to take it off and take it to the woods to ram into trees and leave it there. And he wouldn't sell us the car. He wouldn't do it. I was so upset. What a once in a lifetime opportunity to possibly kill someone and destroy Mother Nature.
Maybe it's better that it didn't happen. That could have.
No, absolutely not. I still chase the dragon of that day. All of us sitting on our phones.
You just carry $500 with you at
Craigslist.
all times. You just carry $500 on you at all times.
I was doing merch on that tour. Don't ever hire me to do merch for your band. I'm so bad. Not only am I so bad at it, counts had to be accurate, and I guess that's really all that matters. The cash is there, but I would forget to give the TM the cash, which is even better. The tour manager for that was this guy named Danny Ruckeson, who played trombone in the Hippos. Now is Billie Eilish's manager, but
that's crazy.
He had never been a TM, and he would not ask me for the cash. So some days I would have $10,000 in cash in my pocket.
Shit, that's wild.
Oops. Which only almost got me in trouble once. We were in San Francisco, and I was walking to go get lunch. My cousin lives in San Francisco adjacent. And I was walking to go get lunch and walking through a neighborhood called the Tenderloin. I don't know if you're familiar. Not a place you want to be. And and a guy walked out with a knife from like an alley, and I was so nervous that I just started laughing and crossed the street with like 12 grand and probably 100 grand in checks in my backpack.
Holy shit.
Fucking asshole. Don't ever hire me for shit. Oh my God.
That's
in
funny,
fact,
man.
I don't want any of them to hear, because I don't think they know that. So I don't want anybody to hear this. They're going to take all that money they paid me back.
How do you feel about Hanson re-recording Bop?
I haven't
re-release it?
heard it. I haven't heard it. I think, shit like that's a weird cash grab no matter how you look at it. Like
easily.
there's no way you can put an interesting spin on a song that had no interesting spin to begin with. But they're three of the, you know what I mean? They're three of the weirdest individuals I've ever met. Like, as you would assume, right?
Right.
Zach, the drummer, was probably the most normal of the three of them. They all married women from their fan club.
What?
Yeah, that's a weird
No.
fact. Yeah.
That's crazy.
All three of them married women from the fan club.
Oh, man, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is fucking weird.
Yeah, they all lived together in this compound. The first show of that tour was in Tulsa, which is where they live.
Okay.
And I was like really jockeying. I was like, I want to see where Hanson lives. Like, hopefully they're like, oh, we're going to have a barbecue after the first show. Nope. Some other interesting facts about Hanson shows. I've never seen so many disabled people at a show in my life.
Really?
I don't know if there's a correlation, but there were like whole sections. And this is, you know what I mean? I'm mostly kidding here, but I remember there was a show and somebody like had an iron lung, like this piece of equipment. And I was like, is this even safe for you to be here? Get the fuck to the hospital.
Wow. That's insane.
Do you really want Mbop to be the last thing you hear before they pull the plug? Jesus
maybe.
Christ.
Honestly, maybe.
I guess maybe.
Was this in there like shortly after their prime? You know, when
no, this is so far. I mean, this is 09. They had just put out a record that was like co-funded by Tom's, like the shoe company.
Okay, yeah.
So part of the tour, part of like the stipulation for the tour was that everybody on the tour had to do this thing every day they called the walk. So you would take off your shoes and everybody would walk, hundreds of people would show up for this bullshit. And you would take off your shoes and walk a mile around the venue barefoot, which like I'll never forget doing it in Detroit and being like, fuck off. I'm not doing that. What are you, nuts? Hello Goodbye would usually send like staff to go do it. They would never do it.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah,
That's
very
so
smart
weird.
for them.
Weird. Just, I don't know. Weird.
Real weird tour. But like it was cool, you know what I mean? It's really wild now, how huge Jack Antonoff was, to think that like, one of the tour pranks last show of the tour was like duct taping him to a mic stand like mid song. That was pretty fun.
That's great.
Yeah, really weird. Also, the only time I've ever been kicked out of a venue, like physically picked up and kicked out of a venue, was one of those shows. That was pretty cool.
What did you do to get kicked out?
So it was the last day of tour. You got into tour pranks, right? I feel like every single band always acted up on the last day of tour. And it was all good fun. Hanson went on and locked everybody out of the backstage area. And like some of our guys were trying to leave to go home and couldn't get back to get their stuff. And so like security was like, no one's allowed back. And I was like, that's not going to work. So I started collecting toilet paper throughout the venue and throwing it at Hansen on stage, and one of the security guys apparently for some reason didn't think that was funny and picked me up and threw me out of the venue. And I'm a big guy. I sort of gave him credit for it.
That's funny.
But then I laughed when I got back in, and he swung, and it was real fun. It was a real fun time. Real just memories, you know?
That's awesome. That's great.
You ever gotten in a fight at a venue?
I don't think so. Like playing, like on a tour?
Yeah, sure.
We've definitely been in altercations where like we've said something or been like ready to, but I don't remember there being any specific. We were pretty like straight-laced when we toured, just because when we were touring heavy, it was when that's when like all these bands kept getting canceled for like revealing their dick to somebody in a photo that they weren't asked, or like all this shit. So we were just like, all right, we're not going to like go on these tours and try and hook up with chicks. We're going to party. We're going to have fun, but we're going to do everything in a way where it's like, we're not going to get fucked over later on or like super bad, you know? So we didn't really like do anything too fucked up aside from smoking weed in parking lots, you know, being really drunk and doing stupid shit. But
I'm sort of bummed I didn't get into like drugs until after I was like done being in bands. I mean, I guess like not done, but you know what I mean? Like after I was done sort of doing stuff on the road, that's when I found the glorious world of drugs.
Right.
And I think that would have made things either a lot better or a lot worse. I don't really know, but yeah, I guess like we used to drink a lot, but luckily we had our you know, Adam was straight edge. So
okay. So you always had somebody to drive.
Always had a built-in designated driver, except he was also a very sleepy boy. So you could never, I'll never forget all of us waking up. I like knew it was the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which is honestly the worst stretch of road I've ever, besides like the stretch of like, you know, Connecticut into New York City might be worse, but, or like pretty much all of Connecticut. But, yeah, waking up to him doing like 85 with like a van and a trailer. You know, I felt my life flash before my eyes.
Yeah.
We used to call him El
sure.
Diablo after that.
So tell me about these Heartwell and Aspire weekends.
Oh, Aspiga?
Oh, sorry. Aspiga.
Do you know Aspiga? Are you familiar with this band? Oh, man. What a bunch of fucking dick characters. So the way it worked, Kevin is a dear friend, and I love him very much. He has a solo project now called Graduation Speech. And I think he just started a new band called Earth, but spelled stupid. So I guess keep your eye out for that. But you know, they wanted to do weekends all the time, but didn't have a van. And we wanted to do weekends all the time, but didn't have the desire to book anything. So he would book everything and we would just go out. And the shows that he would book, a lot of them would be really cool, but some of the shows he would book would be like, you know, probably the most notable one was the middle of winter. And we drove out to like central Pennsylvania. I want to say it was like 4 hours to get there. Middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. It was like negative degrees outside, and we show up, and the show is at like what used to be like a glass factory, like a small glass factory, but like attached to someone's house in the middle of the woods. And immediately I'm like, I'm not doing this. We can't play this show. I got to get out of here. I like my life too much. And like within, I don't know, 45 minutes of, you know, doors, there were probably 100 people in this room, which is like, you know, I'll stay for 100 people.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't even have to pay me. But yeah, what a wild, you know, they told us we could sleep there at around 2 a.m. when there were still about 25 people there. I was like, this isn't going to work. So we drove sketchy to a hotel. The van check engine light came on, or like the battery light came on. So 8 people white knuckling through the middle of nowhere for what felt like eternity. What a time. But some of those shows were just so dumb. You ever played a show, you ever gotten somewhere and you're like, why am I here? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like
weird.
when you're doing the DIY shit, those are like most of them, So
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of really great shows, and a lot of really fun things. I mean, because I feel like when you're like not big enough to have like, I don't know what a good number is, but like 50 people show up at a venue or like a bar.
Right.
You're forced to kind of play things that shouldn't be shows, and sometimes that works out really well, but other times it's like, what are we fucking like? Have you ever played a show in like a storage container?
I don't think
or a
we've done
storage unit
container. No, I don't think so.
Those are bad shows.
That's got to be like crazy. Just kill your ears.
Oh my God. People smoking crack. I think that was Florida. Yeah. I mean, don't ever play for anybody who's a touring band. Just write Florida off unless it's Fest. Write Florida off.
Love Fest. We played that once. That was great.
Man, Fest. Yeah. Some of the best times I've ever had were like playing Fest and Fest weekend. It was like if, at least for me, if like 2011 through like 2014 had like a physical yearbook,
yeah,
Fest would be your annual reunion.
Absolutely.
Especially like, we were, Evan Weiss, Into It Over It, grew up sort of around us. And when he moved to Chicago, seeing Into It Over It was sort of the only time you would see him in a year, or like playing Chicago. Shows like that, Matt Ferraro and Candy Hearts, seeing them, before I moved to New York, but that's really the only time I would see them. After a while, it was the only time I would see Pentimento, I suppose.
Yeah, you guys used to play Buffalo all the time.
Well, yeah, because we would play with Pentimento and like 200, 300 people would show up. Wouldn't you play all the time? We used to joke like, there was a very short period of time where we, maybe like 6 years ago, probably less, we're like, let's do a reunion show. You know what I mean? Like, let's find something that we could benefit that would like warrant doing. Like, I want to do it.
Right.
And I just want to revisit that material, with my friends.
Right.
What can we do that we could donate this money to, the tens of dollars we would get for playing shows. And I was like, it would have to be Buffalo. Buffalo, we would outdraw, our home shows in Buffalo because it was just such a fun place to play. And like, everybody was just stoked on bands coming through, or at least it seemed like everybody was stoked on bands coming through.
The music scene was and still is amazing in Buffalo. I've definitely fallen out of it quite a bit. Just bought a house in the suburbs and big boy job and all that shit, so I don't go out as much. But it when I do, man, there's people always show up. It's always a good time.
Mohawk around that time felt like a clubhouse.
Yeah,
I always knew whenever we would play Mohawk, I would see the same 50 people that I was always really excited to see when we would go to Buffalo. Buffalo is just such whenever I talk to people who grew up in Buffalo now, I'm like, love that place. And they can't understand why somebody who's not from there would like it. I can't think of anywhere that had the same community that I would see frequently. Maybe Columbia, South Carolina had like a very similar vibe going on with like one unit and those shows. I don't know. Have you ever played New Brookland Tavern?
It sounds familiar.
It's my favorite venue in the country. It's the greatest place. I think the last time we played there was with Into It Over It and oh God, what was that band called? Make Do and Mend. I don't know, but I remember one of the guys who was playing it Into It Over at the time climbing the billboard out back and shooting Roman candles off this billboard, thinking like, we're going to die. Somebody's going to die. And no one ever died. Not that I know of. I think they're all still with us. But yeah, Buffalo, I mean, you know, and it was nice because we always knew that we could, on zero notice, crash at Mike and Becca's house, whether they liked it or not. There was a year that we played like 5 shows all within a short drive of Buffalo on purpose, so we could just stay at their house for a week. It was like we would go, we played Buffalo, and then the next night we played, and I know we're going to get to this, but we played the worst show I've ever played in my life in Toronto. And then we played like Rochester. You know what I mean? Like what's
You did the circuit.
What's a short enough? It's almost like doing a weekend from somebody else's house.
Yeah. That's awesome.
God, I love it.
And
yeah.
That was the best part of touring, really, was when you knew when you were going to, like, oh, I'm going through here. I got a place to crash.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
Did you guys have somebody sleep in the van? We always had at least one person sleep in the van just to make sure no shenanigans happened.
One of the only places that I always did that was Philly.
Philly makes sense. A lot of gear stolen in Philly.
Lot of gear stolen in Philly, and I was the last one to sleep in the van in Philly, and some dude came a knocking, and I pulled a knife and was like, "Get the fuck out of here, mother!" Because he was like reaching up in the window, because I had the window, it was warm or whatever, and I was just like, "Man, this sucks," you know? It just like, I'm not gonna fucking sleep, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
and
that was only when we wouldn't bring it in.
Yeah, Richmond was a city I never trusted. Richmond was the only place that I ever remember somebody trying to rip us off. And I don't think anybody was going to sleep in the van that night, but the people we were staying with had kittens. And if you've ever stayed at someone's house with kittens, fuck them for not telling you ahead of time.
Yep.
But, I mean, yeah, thanks for putting me up, but also fuck you. But we slept in the van, and good thing, I like wake up to hear a jiggling, and I get out of the van, in probably like size 3X basketball shorts with no shirt on. To some dude like, "Oh, I thought this was my girlfriend's trailer." Your girlfriend's trailer? Fuck off. Yeah. And then I was like, please just tell all your crackhead friends not to fucking come around here. I don't know. Crackhead's such a catch-all term. I guess that I need to come up with something better. Degenerates?
Dickheads.
Yeah, just straight up dickheads.
So I have one ridiculous story experience with somebody saying we could crash at their place and them having a cat. We were on a 60-day full U.S. with A Fortune and Fame. I don't know if you remember them. Mm-hmm. We all went in one van, so it's a 15-passenger van, 9 guys pulling a 10-foot trailer, I think. Play a house show in Kansas City, and it was a fucking blast. It was Halloween. People were going nuts. It was just a party, dude. It was so much fun. It was awesome. I have a lot of fond memories about that night. It was a blast. Guy goes, "Hey, after the show, you guys can crash here. No problem. Just so you know, I do have a cat, but it is kitty litter trained. It's litter trained." Mm-hmm. Cool. Perfect. Whatever. So we're getting ready for bed in the basement. And mind you, this neighborhood is like a new build neighborhood. Mm-hmm. This house, this kid is living in this house, but he lives in it like it's a punk house. It's disgusting, but it's beautiful. And there's like crazy rooms in this place and everything, but he takes care of it like it's a punk house. Throws shows there, whatever. Fine. Well, he told us that the cat was kitty litter trained, but he lied, because when I woke up the next day, the cat pissed all over everything I owned. It pissed on my sleeping bag. Just me. On my sleeping bag, on my pillow next to my fucking head. My duffel bag that had literally every piece of clothing I owned. And I woke up, I'm like, does anybody else smell the BO? This fucking reeks down here like BO. And Nick Berger or Ian from A Fortune Fame goes, "Nah, dude, that's cat piss." I was like, "No." They're like, "That's cat piss. You gotta You got to leave it in the trailer because we can't put it in the van. Dude, I was so mad because later on, we were getting ready to leave, and I'm like fucking trying to get rid of the smell. This guy is outside talking to some chick that was at the show the night before, and he's like, yeah, I found that cat a couple days in the alleyway down the street, and I just took it in. Oh, so you found a fucking stray cat, brought it into the house, and then you didn't tell her? Oh, dude, I was so upset.
That is pretty punk. That's pretty punk. So what did you do with your shit? Did you wash it all?
I left everything in the trailer, and then the next place we played, someone in Unfortunate Fame knew somebody there, so they let me wash all my shit at their house. I washed it 5 times probably throughout the night. Just kept going, putting it in a rewash, because I couldn't get rid of the smell. So I think I ended up ditching some stuff, and then just eventually my sweat from playing in the clothes took over the cat piss smell, and then it was fine. But dude, it was right at the beginning. It was maybe within the first 3 shows that this happened of a 60-day fucking tour. It was terrible.
So, on the subject of smelling terribly,
yes,
because we were a pretty clean band. I don't think nobody was punk. I mean, no, nobody was punk. I had been rushing to try to get ready to leave for tour, and I don't even think we were gone for 2-3 weeks, not even that much. And I was rushing to try to get ready for tour. And I had washed all of my clothes and then gone to work and remembered them 3 days later, put them in the dryer. And every day I would put on a new set of clothes. And then by the end of the day or after the show, my body heat would bring out the mildew smell. So every single day I would have to throw away what I wore that day.
So
and
expensive.
and it got to the point where I had to buy new clothes almost every day. I would, obviously whatever band we played with, I'd be like, can I have a t-shirt, please? I need something to wear tomorrow.
Right.
But yeah, I bought packs of underwear, and which I honestly think if you can afford it, and I hate doing laundry personally, still do. You just buy packs of underwear, wear them once, throw them away. Who gives a shit?
Right. Underwear and
I don't
socks.
care. I don't care about the. Oh, I've never worn. That's the thing that always made everybody mad, that I've never been a sock wearer.
Oh, man. You were okay. Anthony,
I was that guy.
We used to make Anthony, he would buy a new pair of shoes for the tour. And they would be brand new, but he wouldn't wear socks. And then depending on how long the tour was, we used to take his shoes and just leave them at a rest stop without him knowing sometimes. And then he'd have to buy a new pair. Because it was so bad. It was disgusting. Yeah. It smelled so bad.
I mean, and it was even worse when I switched to, I tried to go and take care of the problem by using powder or something in my shoes in lieu of socks. I mean, this is I don't know if it was just because no show socks hadn't hit the wide market by that point, but so I would put powder and everything, which that powder doesn't just disappear. It turns into big black lumps on the inside of your shoes. So my shoes would be pasty, almost putting my feet in Elmer's glue every day, which wasn't that good either. I would sometimes, no one will remember this, but if we would stay at somebody's house, sometimes I would switch insoles with them. If they had Vans, I would rip the Vans insoles out of their shoes and put them in mine and put mine in theirs. I don't know what fucking happened. So
genius.
So Brandon Pagano, if you're out there, I probably stole your insoles once, dog. I'm very sorry about it.
I love Brandon. He's supposed to be on pretty soon. I actually so Vito comes to my house with Madison at least once a year for the Bills game, which is always a good time. So it's nice to always stay in touch with them. Love those guys.
I don't think you could possibly say enough nice things about that family. I've never
Literally.
like it still doesn't fucking make any sense to me how a group of people could be so kind. For years I would text Karen on Mother's Day or like text Vito on Father's Day. Like somebody recently was saying that like, that every like touring cycle, there was always like a family that would like look out for bands. And for us, it just happened to be the Paganos, but
Same.
and a bunch of like 5 grown men over, in their mid to late 20s around like teenage daughters is just such like a, soup. You gotta trust them. And they were just so nice. We weathered an earthquake in their basement once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. There was a random earthquake. Here we were in like upstate New York.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
What's crazy?
I don't
to
know
me,
what that was, but
what's crazy to me about the Paganos is, not only would they take anybody in, but like, if you were to be like, hey, there's this band, they're good people. Mm-hmm. I know you don't know them. They need a place to crash tonight. If you vouched for them and they like trusted you, they would just do it. They never meeting these people and they'd be like, okay, they'll be there at 11 p.m. or some shit, and like, that's just insane to me. Like, they are just the best people. And then Vito is a fucking hero from the 9/11 shit. Like, he was in the buildings and stuff. Just insane.
He was in the planes. They had, if I remember right, it feels like a lifetime ago, but if I remember right, they had like a light outside. It was a red light outside of their house. And if the red light was on, it meant that like you could come in and stay. And if the light was off, like, I don't think I ever saw the light off, so I don't know what would happen, but yeah, wild. And in the like 10 times we stayed at their house, Brandon was never there.
Yeah, he was rarely there because, so the first tour I ever did was actually Brandon's first tour. I filled in for Doses from Rochester, and they went on tour. We went on tour with I Was a Hero, so that's how I got introduced to the Paganos.
I think we played with you on that tour.
Probably, potentially. I'm not sure.
I think we played a show in like a Pennsylvania firehouse with like Citizen.
Yes.
We tried to steal a fire truck at that show. I was saying, like, I was like, I don't think that fire trucks can possibly be that hard to drive. I don't understand why people have to go through all this training. And I had like boosted myself up in one of the, I don't know why I'm whispering, but I had boosted myself up in one of the fire trucks and realized like the keys are in it. Like, we got to start this thing. So I go ahead and turn the key. Nothing happens. And I'm like, finally after like 20 minutes of trying to like, and anytime a firefighter would come by, I would like duck under. Like, they don't know some dickhead dude is sitting there trying to start a fire truck. There's a switch you have to flip to like engage the fuel pump. I had no idea. I just thought you could rip those things. And also, what the fuck was I going to do if I even got that thing started? Holy shit.
You would have went to jail.
What a nightmare. Nah, I think I got to talk my way out of it. That was such a weird show. It's incredible how big Citizen got after that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of those shows. We played the Paganos New Year's Eve show, and that was modern baseball. They were like the first band to play. Nobody knew who they were for the most part. It was really early on in their career. And then who else? It was Candy Hearts, Panameno, us. There was like 12 bands. I don't remember everybody else who played, but it was just
they were all good.
Yeah, and to think like just playing this basement show, which was a banger. There was 60 people in this basement that probably should have had 20, and then everyone just partied afterwards. But to think like, I think about it all the time. I'm like, dude, Modern Baseball was on that show, and like no one really knew. Like that was when they started popping off, right? It was right before or around that time. So like kids knew who they were, but then I don't know, less than a year later, they're doing headline tours to 1,000 cap rooms, if not bigger, depending on where they're at. Like just crazy to see how big people got from where they came from, you know?
And how fast. I think we played a front bottom show once and there were like 50 people there. And then the very next year, you know, they were headlining, you know, 1,500 cap venues.
Right.
And like, good for you. I mean, did you ever I don't want to get all depressed and like, but did you ever think like, what did I do wrong? I mean, where did I go wrong that like I didn't? And I know like I can point easily to it. I know exactly the missteps I made to like, a lot of it was that like all of us had to have jobs. So there was never really a point where we could be like, we can tour 6 months out of the year, you know, which then makes you not that attractive to record labels. And if you are attractive to record labels, it's fucking Panic Records that doesn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Right.
And, I told the story. Actually, this is. Do you know Tim? Have you ever talked to Tim from Panic Records?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he like was in on that grab too. I felt like anybody who was associated with Pentimento, like they tried to scoop up Young English, you know, all of it. But I've not been drinking recently. I've been off the sauce. And the other night I was very much on the sauce. And I woke up the next morning after showing somebody like a Heartwell video because I was wasted. And I woke up the next morning to find that I had texted Tim McIntosh 2 words. And I probably don't even have to tell you what those 2 words are, but I'll show you. Yep, exactly. Like a dude I probably haven't talked to in forever. Just fuck you. And I don't even know, like, why would I do? I'm not a dude who does that. But seriously, fuck man. You. Like,
yeah, we knew not to because so we were on Anchor 84 out in LA. That's the label we were on. But I think we knew better than to jump, like, even try towards Panic because of Pentimento.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember getting the contract or whatever and sending it to anybody I knew in the music business. And every single person was like, if you sign this, you're the biggest dumbass on the planet. Like, he's taken everything and giving you nothing. I want to say the recording budget that he agreed to was like $1,800.
That's who's doing a record for that?
Right. That's like 3 days worth of recording or whatever, which to think about it now, some of the greatest records I've ever heard in my life were recorded in 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't Goddamn It, Alkaline Trio, Goddamn It, wasn't that done in like 3 days or something? Like, Belle and Sebastian Tiger Milk was like recorded in 2 days and mixed in 1. I don't think I have a clear enough vision to be able to execute in 3 days. So that wasn't like, going to work.
Are those dudes doing like all instrumentation live? You know what I mean?
Live. Yeah.
Like all at the same time. That's the only way you're
Yeah.
doing that.
Right.
I mean, I can see Mountains did that with one of their records.
God, what a fucking great
maybe
band.
2. Great band.
Holy shit.
Super American, fucking
Yeah.
Matt as well, just still killing it. But yeah, so I know they did at least one of their records that way. It just has that raw sound, which is like that shit you grow up on. Like in the 90s emo, you know what I mean? It felt like that, which is great. But I don't think you're doing that. You're not doing 3 days unless you're doing that.
No, and there's an urgency that comes with doing it that way that like is like nervous energy, which I think makes a really compelling record. If anybody is out there like, I'm about to do my first LP, what's the way not to do it? I'll tell you what the way not to do it is. Don't go to like 4 different studios to all do 4 different things and then try to piece it together at the end. I had a friend who played in a band called Orchid, if you're any screamo heads out there. And he did the guitars on the Heartwell LP. And then we did the drums and bass and stuff at Gradwell in South Jersey, which I think we pieced together 6 different vocal sessions for that record.
Wow.
Just awful. Yeah. Just I listen to the record now. I mean, not very often, but every I'd say, twice a year, I'll listen to it straight through. And it's such a wild, man, if I could just go back and be like, hold up. This is what you want to do. In fact, it would have been better if we just recorded it ourselves, I think. But, for some reason, for your first LP that's on a label, that never feels like that's the move. Mm-hmm. But then when you turn it into Panic Records and you get a phone call saying I'm not putting this out, I hate it.
So
that's how it goes, man.
That's I couldn't imagine having to do it like that. Just trying to piece it all together and not having the input of the other guys there too. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I mean, I think I'm gonna make a record. I've been sort of piecing stuff together, and I have that need for the spotlight right now. I think I'm such you'll know shortly, but once you have a kid, you sort of become a supporting character in your own life, and I think there's a point where you're okay, hold on, I used to do something really fun, and I want to do that again. Yeah. And I think I'm on the precipice of doing that again. I've had Joe Morrow's electric drums for the past probably 2 years. So I have the equipment. I'm ready.
Right. Yeah.
I'll V-drum it out. Don't think I won't.
I've been saying that for freaking 15 years. I'm gonna write a song and I'm gonna release it all by myself. I dabble in guitar. I wouldn't say that I'm a guitarist by any means.
Same. I mean, I've played for more than half my life, and I would still never I've never, when somebody's oh, you're a musician, I'm oh no, I am not a musician. I play guitar, I sing poorly, but I wouldn't say I'm a musician.
It's a hobby. I
would say I think when I was 13, maybe 12, I learned how to play Nevermind and Siamese Dream front to back, and I think I never got better.
I don't believe that.
No, it's bad. I can play a really convincing open G. I'll send it to you. It's pretty good.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
So I want to circle back to, you were saying your least favorite show you ever played, the worst show you ever played was in Toronto.
Oh my God. It's painful to even think about. It was the closest we ever got to breaking up. We lost our van that day. We couldn't find our van. We had set sail from the Hanson residence that morning, ready to have fun. The first thing that happened was we went to cross the border right there in Buffalo, or I guess Niagara or whatever. And Adam, the drummer, had fallen asleep. And when we got to the border crossing, I miscounted the amount of people we had in the van. And he pops up halfway through me talking to the border guard. The border guard sees there's one more person than I said there was.
Oh no.
So of course, we have to pull over. They almost tore the entire van apart before I was just let me show you everything. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here all day. There's a band, or was a band, from Toronto called, I think they were called Sparrows, not Red Sparrows, but just Sparrows. Mm-hmm. Does that sound familiar?
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
That dude, I think we had talked on a message board, possibly Bridge 9. I can't confirm or deny. But he was hey, I like your band. I want to set up a show. Are you coming anytime soon? And so we had picked this date. The show was at a venue called the Bovine Sex Club.
Oh, okay.
On Queen Street, which is still there. Still just as terrible as you would imagine. We get there, and every other band that was supposed to play the show had dropped off, and they had replaced them with cover bands. We could have not played, but I think there's when you go through, I mean, that was a full day of travel at that point. And I think we had already lugged our gear in. They made us set up the merch in the very back corner of the venue, like far down like 3 hallways at a place that like no human being would ever go. We set up, there was I remember there being a weird railing in front of the stage. That's weird to play to nobody across a railing. I want to say there was maybe 5 people. 4 of them were bartenders. But what do you do in that situation? Because that's happened a few times. I don't know how many absolutely negative attendance shows you've had. I think we always made ourselves play the full set just like we would any other day.
Right.
Which is almost more demoralizing when you're like, I don't think I was 30. I could have been 30. But just like, what am I fucking doing with my life? We got an argument about something and everybody like walked away from the van angry, and I was like, well, that's it. This is done. I went to a bar that was not far away. They had Friends on the TV. I'm a big baseball fan, and I had asked the bartender if he could find any baseball on TV. And this very large Canadian man came over and put his hand on my shoulder and was like, we only watch hockey in here. And I was like, not tonight, my friend. Just kidding. And that guy took my beer and chugged it, and I quickly left as soon as I could. But what an awful show. I don't remember. I think vegan poutine may have gotten us all back together that night, but
were you guys all vegans?
We had gotten, because they were doing speed camera tickets, and I think we got 4 tickets that night, or like 4 tickets throughout that day. Mm-hmm. We easily paid $1,000 to play that show.
That's insane.
Like in life.
Yeah.
And other. Yeah. What an awful. We never played a good show in Baltimore. Every time I go past where the venue was, we would play all the time. I'm filled with grief knowing that I'm a failure. But you know how it is. They all can't be winners, I guess.
At least that one like wasn't terribly far from home, I guess. I don't know.
It felt like it was.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt. We were early risers. That's also like kind of a controversial thing that I was always really happy that we were all on the same page about that. Like, because we would never drive at night, or at least not more than like an hour, if we could help it. Because I'm fond of living. I don't want to not do that.
Yeah.
But also, so we would like get up at 8 in the morning and like, head out and spend the day in whatever city we were going to be in. Because you always hear bands talk about like, being on tour and all you see is like venues and hotels. Like, we would do the shit because I'm like, what if I can't do this anymore? And I always felt really bad for Bob, who played guitar and sang as the only non-vegan in the band, having to put up with our bullshit all the time. We would go to Chipotle almost every day, and he would take the van and go to like through the McDonald's drive-through and then pick us back up. Like, what a horrific life we made him live. I feel so bad, like victimizing your own band members for your lifestyle
Chipotle's not
choices.
Terrible, man. It could have been worse. Could have been way worse.
Bob's a burgers and dogs guy. Bob doesn't want to mess with ethnic food.
That's funny. So are you still vegan?
No. Oh, heavens, no.
Okay.
I was vegan up until I met my wife.
Okay.
And then we had a bacon cheeseburger, and that was that.
Love that. It's a great way to end your streak.
You gotta. I mean, go hard or go hard. That's what I always say.
All right. So next year on the list, it says cockroaches. That's all you gave me.
Oh my God.
Idea.
The other worst show that I've ever played in my life. What's actually sort of fun, I think we played with doses too. It was in Erie. We played a house show in the Erie basement, and it was a fun show. St. Brazil played that show. They were on tour. Honestly, the best band that no one's ever heard of. You will never find any of their stuff, so you just have to take my word for it. But we played like a fun show, and right afterwards, Scott, who played bass in Heartwell, started packing his stuff up, and he was like, "We're leaving right now." And I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" He's like, "We're leaving this moment. We have to get out of here. We have to like hose all of our shit down." And we get out and we go back in because I forgot something. And he starts pointing out there were cockroach eggs on every surface of this house. Up and down the walls. If you've never seen cockroach eggs, just imagine like the worst basement you've ever been in. It was in somebody's grandparents' basement while the entire family was upstairs. So awkward. Like everybody who came to the show, which was like 50 people in this basement, everybody who came to the show had to like walk through the living room of like a grandparent on life support watching Jeopardy. It was Christ. What an awful way to live. I actually think, now I'm thinking about it, I think that was the tour that we got. It was when Jordan and her sister lived together.
Yeah.
In Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah.
We got snowed into their house. Oh, that's the day I went vegan. Oh my God, this is a good one. Bob would kick my ass if I didn't, or make fun of me if I didn't tell this story. Thankfully, this podcast is called Stories, so I can just keep going. Story time. We had spent the night. I was so excited to go to Tim Hortons the next day. I had never been to a Tim Hortons before.
Really?
Yeah. And we had gotten snowed in. There was like 2 feet of snow on the ground, so we're not going anywhere. Our van and trailer was like at the CVS next door. And they were seriously so kind to let us stay for like, I don't know, 2 days or however long we stayed. But we walked down to Tim Hortons, trudged through, 8 feet of snow or whatever the fuck it was. And we walk in, and I was like third in line, and the first 2 guys both got breakfast sandwiches. And so I'm jovially talking to the person at the counter, and I was like, "Here's what I want. Tell me if I can have this. Can you make me a bacon, egg, and cheese, but put it on a donut? Is that okay? Can we do that?" And she goes, "I'm sorry, sir. We actually just stopped serving breakfast." And I'm like thinking she's fucking with me because the 2 people in line ahead of me had just gotten breakfast sandwiches. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." Like, and she's like, "No, we just stopped serving breakfast." And I'm like, in the 30 seconds it took me to stop serving breakfast. And I'm trying not to give her a hard time. People who work those jobs have a lot harder life than I do. So, and I keep being like, "Are you sure?" I guess I was sort of notorious for like food freakouts. I get pretty hangry. And I angrily yell in front of everyone, "I guess I'll have nothing." And I went and sulked in the corner, and I went vegan. I went vegan for like 8 years because I was so angry. Yeah. Oh, that man. Talk about dipshit life choices. If there was like a dipshit Olympics, I would be a gold medalist, my dude.
That's hilarious, dude. That's so funny.
What a time.
Oh, okay. So what was your... See, this is going to be interesting. You're probably just going to say Chipotle. What was your favorite food on the road? Like, where did you feel you got the best meal and bang for your buck?
I mean, Chipotle probably, only because we would do the thing that every band did and like call ahead and like try to wrangle free food.
And beg? You would beg? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called begging. That's what we all did.
Well, Chipotle specifically, I don't know if this is just like insider baseball or whatever, but like we were told by every band that if you called Chipotle ahead of time and you were like, "Hey, we're a band on tour. Like, we know sometimes you guys have comp meals you have to give out for the day. Like, do you mind helping like 7 of us out or whatever?" I would say 80% of the time they were like, "Sure, come on in. Yeah. We'll take care of you." And there were times where we would get like 2 burritos a piece, and they were just so nice about it. But I would say like towards the end, we were very fond of the Pizza Hut buffet.
Love that.
Before the Pizza Hut buffet ended, a lot of fun was had. I don't know how we did it vegan, because I don't even think the crust is vegan.
I don't think it is. Yeah, that's why I was saying. That's why I was, saying you're probably just going to say Chipotle because
probably.
you guys are all vegan.
I mean, like a lot of we used a lot of our friends' bands leftover Taco Bell bucks from Feed the Beat.
Yep.
So it was never a shortage of Taco Bell. I was the only person in the band with sort of a strong stomach. Everybody else, if they had like Taco Bell 2 nights in a row, would absolutely shit themselves the entire next day. So I was always lucky in that respect. But yeah, a lot of that. There was stuff we would look forward to. Every time we would go to Buffalo, we would go to Panos.
Yeah.
Panos. Which no longer exists. What a bummer. That place was great. I mean, a lot of we would order like after hours, you can't pick up from Domino's. So we would sit in the parking lot and order Domino's delivery to whatever the address next door was and just sort of like jump out and scare the delivery person who was just trying to do their goddamn job. 7 hungry apes would come pouring out of a van.
Did you guys always tour with 7 people?
No, we would tour. There were 4 of us and we would normally just bring one other guy.
Okay. Yeah.
In fact, usually the same other guy. My guy, Mike Maduro, who I haven't talked to in probably a year, and I feel bad about that all of a sudden.
Never too late, right?
I mean, it's real hard. We had a 15-passenger van. It was the greediest thing we've ever done. Tour in a 15-passenger van with like just a few people. Everybody had their own bench, which was really nice. That way
so
sleeping
no
in the van. No, we did a loft for one tour, and I think someone stopped short. We kept gear up there when we were driving, and somebody stopped short, and like a guitar case slid forward and smacked somebody in the head, and we were like, "Yeah, never gonna do that again." The loft thing sounds like a good idea. Did you do it?
We did it in every van. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch. Pentimento did it, and I used to watch like how uncomfortable they looked when they did it. We did it because we thought we had to. Scott built the loft in the van that we had that was just a little too tall. So when you were sleeping up there, you were almost like nose and boner to the ceiling. So yeah, I'm never a fan. That's why we always toured like with as few people as possible. So everybody sort of got their own bench. Poor Mike would have to I think we would slide a cooler up between the front seats and
lay
he would
across.
Poor guy. Like, think about having to sit in somebody else's fart all night. You know what I mean?
So true. I didn't even think of that.
It's shocking that he never. I think he did get pink eye at Fest once, or like right after Fest.
Wow, that's crazy. That is funny as shit. All right, man. I think we're winding down here. We're almost at the 2-hour mark ish.
Holy shit! Really?
We're getting there. It's about 10, 15.
Oh,
10, 15
oh boy. This is like a run into the ground episode. So what record do you want to talk about real quick?
Listen, man, anytime you want to come on, you are welcome to come on. This was
awesome.
A blast. This was
this was really fun.
Next time I'll be a little more prepared with records to discuss with you.
Records for me to shit on? That would be amazing.
Yes, I love that.
Anytime. Have you listened? There's a podcast called This Band, Your Band Sucks, This Band Sucks.
I think I have listened to an episode. And
they did a Wilco episode. Wilco's one of my favorite bands. And they tore them apart, and I love it. I don't know, but I've always heckled bands I love. I remember heckling The Promise Ring when I was younger. I heckled the bands I like the most, which is, you roast your friends the hardest, I suppose. This was really fun. Thank you so much for having me on. Man. I really appreciate it.
Go ahead and promote anything you want to promote one more time.
So Run Into the Ground, new episodes Tuesdays. Episode 100 will be up a week after this comes out. I'm very excited the day this comes out. We have an episode with Steve Brooks, who played in Torch and Floor. That episode's really great. Talk a lot about dog grooming for some reason. But you can follow that at Run Into the Ground on Instagram, on Twitter, the doomed social media at Run in the number 2 the ground. Also, if you could join the Patreon, that would be really sick. Our Patreon's really starting to take off and those bonus episodes get real spicy. So I think it's patreon.com/runintotheground. We're actually launching our first shirt also, which I don't know if that's cool or corny. I would never buy podcast merch, but please buy ours.
I own 4 podcast shirts.
Oh man, I hope you're about to own 5. But thank you so much again. What do you have to plug?
This is about it, man. This is all I got going for me. Everybody, make sure you like and subscribe the podcast. Everything he's got going on, I will have down below in the description, the link to his Patreon, everything like that. Be sure to follow everything he's got going on. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, bitch.